Welcome to this week's edition of the Comic Hero Show. I'm your host, Victor Nunley, and I am the Comic Hero. Well, people, we have just made it to the first day of spring. Winter is finally over, and nobody is more happy about it than I am. Because, let me tell you, we have had some very, very, very cold days, and I'm just glad it's all over. Only have two things to talk about today, so without further ado, let the ranting begin.
What you talking about, Willis?
The first thing I want to talk about is the Saints making the off-season cuts that they've made. Um, as y'all might know, they've already cut Jabari Greer, Roman Harper, Will Smith, and Jonathan Vilma. Well, the only one of those cuts that I actually agreed on was Jonathan Vilma because he hasn't really played that much since the Bounty Gate scandal. And Roman Harper has reportedly signed with the Carolina Panthers, which are, of course, in the NFC South with the Saints. Um, Jabari Greer, I think was playing very well, and Will Smith was playing well until he suffered that torn ACL during the preseason last season. Those two, along with Roman Harper, I don't think they deserve to get cut. To be honest, I think they're doing all this in order to be able to keep tight end Jimmy Graham around. I was very disappointed with that, but then I became just downright livid with the next cuts that they made, and I think I speak for everybody when I say that because they ended up cutting Darren Sproles and Lance Moore. Now it's one thing to cut Lance Moore, but when you cut Darren Sproles, a guy that the Saints invested a lot of money in acquiring from the San Diego Chargers, that was the straw that broke the camel's back right there. That really upset a lot of Saints fans, including me. As a matter of fact, one of my friends from South Louisiana had told me that they will not be supporting the Saints this season just because of that cut. And to be honest, I don't even know why they did it. There was no reason for them to have cut Darren Sproles, or rather, allow for him to be traded to another team for cash. Of course, he was traded to the Philadelphia Eagles for some draft picks and cash consideration. That's dumb. I mean, yeah, he was your starting running back and one of your return men, and you let him go. If there was one running back that the Saints should have gotten rid of, or should have cut, or allowed to be traded, it should have been Mark Ingram. Although let's be honest, Mark Ingram in the game this past season against the Cowboys, he showed up because we were wondering that entire season, where in the world is Mark Ingram? Well, either that or wherever he is, the Saints need to get rid of him today. Well, unfortunately, that did not happen. And then, earlier today, I found out that the Saints released Jed Collins, their starting fullback. I don't know what the Saints are doing, but I'm still going to support them. I mean, I've been a lifelong Saints fan. I've been a fan of those even back when the paper bags over their heads and they were coached by some lousy coaches like not Jim Haslett, but Jim Mora and Rich Venturi. Now, Jim Haslett, he was the head coach of the Saints when they won their first ever playoff game back in the 2000 season against the Rams in the wild card playoffs. I mean, who could ever forget that? And then I've been a fan of the Saints even through the good times, whether it be Sean Payton or Jim Haslett. Um, but I will support them. I'm not going to be a fair weather fan. And if I'm upsetting anyone by what I just said, to any Saints fans by what I just said, I apologize. But the way I see it, if you like a team for as long as you have been living, there really is no reason to give up support for them. Okay, next thing I want to talk about is Captain America the Winter Soldier. Of course, that's going to be in theaters April 1st, and I will watch it. I will go out to see it. Um, a lot of you are probably wondering who is the Winter Soldier. I'm not going to give anything away, but to all the comic book readers who are watching this, you already know, so I'm not going to say it. But to all those who watch the show and you don't read comics, you're going to be really surprised. But at the same time, you're going to think, oh, okay. But I'm not going to give any secrets away. But you probably have seen the trailer to it, and you probably saw the Winter Soldier, planting some bombs under this vehicle that Nick Fury was driving, uh, suggesting that he's going to die in the movie. I don't think he is. I really don't think he is. But we'll just have to see come April 1st. All right, that's all the things I want to talk about. So let's get to the comics I bought today. Comic books I bought today. Up first are Flash numbers 27 and 28. Um, in this issue, the Flash goes up against, well, rather Barry Allen, who's the Flash's real name. He's a police scientist for the Central City Police Department, and um, he and the Central City Police Department found out that there were a whole bunch of skeletons in the Central City underground, and they really don't know what to do or how they got there. So the Flash enlists the help of Deadman, whose real name is Boston Brand. Well, let me tell you a little bit about Boston Brand. He's a trapeze artist who dies, and instead of going to heaven, he gains the power of being able to use a human body as a host and live through them, but only temporarily. But the Flash, let me tell you, a lot of folks don't give this book the credit that it deserves. It's a great book, and I think Brian Buccellato is doing a great job on it. Although he was co-writing it earlier with Francis Manapul, who was writing it. But I don't know if Manapul's going to come back, but I hope he does because his artwork is amazing. Up next are Nightwing numbers 27 and number 28. Now, currently in the pages of Nightwing, he's not in Gotham City anymore. He's actually relocated to Chicago after finding out that that Tony Zucco, the person responsible for his death, was somehow alive and had been using somebody else's name or using a different name, and starting finding a wife and starting a family in Chicago, and Nightwing feels that it's up to him to go out there and bring him to justice. But along the way, he's encountered different villains, some old retooled classic DC villains like the Prankster, and some new villains like the Marionette. And it's not been easy, and it sure hasn't been easy in the miniseries Forever Evil, where he has been where he's encountered members of the crime syndicate. For those of you who are just watching this, I've talked about the crime syndicate before. They're the evil doppelgangers of the Justice League. They're polar opposites of them. They're from a different universe where the bad guys are dominant and the good guys are few. And from my understanding, Nightwing Number 30, which comes out next month, is supposed to be the last issue. Um, there have been rumors going around that Dick Grayson is going to die. Um, I don't know if that's true or not, but um, I will let you know when it if it does happen, whether it be in the pages of Nightwing or whether it be in the pages of Forever Evil, which is a miniseries I'm also reading. Okay, up next are Teen Titans number 27 and number 28. In this issue, this is pretty much picking up where the first issue of Forever Evil left off. In that issue, um, the Teen Titans were sent to a parallel dimension, and they were trying to fend for themselves. And they found out that not only a parallel dimension but also a different time. And they go to the time where Bart Allen originally came from, and there had been some secrets that he had been keeping from the team. That he isn't really a hero; he's actually a villain, and his real name isn't Bart Allen. It's actually Bar-Tor. Now, in the previous DC universe, Kid Flash, or the Kid Flash in the previous DC universe was the last one rather was Bart Allen, who was actually the grandson of Barry Allen. In this one, not so much. I don't know what DC's trying to. I don't know what their motive is behind that, but so far it's worked. And the last, and they're supposed, and this issue is supposed, this book is supposed to be ending next, well, not next month, but I think in about a few months. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's such a great read. I I'd recommend it though. I mean, I'd say I recommend it, but after all, the series is ending. All right, next up is Superman Unchained number 6. Now, you're probably wondering, who is this going up against the Man of Steel? Well, this is the Wraith. He was created by General Sam Lane with permission by the U.S. government. Um, General Sam Lane, of course, is the father of Lois Lane. And Wraith was created originally to stop Superman in case he goes out of control. It seems like there have been a lot of things that have been created or are formed to not only stop Superman but to stop the Justice League or any other metahumans in the DC universe if they got out of control. Um, but in the past few issues, the Wraith is actually sided with Superman, and he's helping them fighting something even bigger than he is. But it's only a matter of time before the Wraith turns on him. I mean, come on, let's face it. After all, do you think somebody that looks like that is going to side with Superman for long? I don't think so, and I'm not buying it. All right. Next up are Iron Man issues number 20 and number 20.IHN. All right, let me tell you what the difference is. In in this one, number 20, it's uh, it's part 3 of the Iron Man story arc called Iron Metropolitan, and in this one, he's talking about building a going to the Mandarin's old island and making it into a city, one where the people who live there will prosper very well. Now now previously Iron Man just found out that he has a brother, or rather a stepbrother, and that he himself is adopted. Yes, that's right. Tony Stark is not really a Stark. He was adopted, but his stepbrother Arno Stark really is a Stark. That's actually Howard and Maria Stark's son, who had been hospitalized in a near vegetative state for all of his life. Well, he finds him, and then brings them, to Stark Tower and tries to help them out every way that he can. And in Iron Man number 20.IHN, the IHN stands for Inhumanity. And this one, it's a tie-in. Now, the miniseries Inhumanity, talks about a lot of folks in the city of New York who are living as Inhumans after they have been exposed to the Terrigen Mist, only because they carried the Inhuman gene. Now, the Terrigen Mist have no effect on humans unless they're carrying the gene, just as I said. And in this one, it also suggests that there's going to be a new Mandarin. But is there really going to be a new Mandarin, or is the old Mandarin going to come back from the dead? I'll let you know what happens later. Up next is Uncanny X-Men number 19. Well, this group of X-Men led by Cyclops are the Renegades. Um, they're the good X-Men that Wolverine leads, and then there's these X-Men who pretty much say it just like the song by the Beatles. You say you want a revolution? Well, you know. Um, but it was only a matter of time before Shield decided to do everything they can in their power to put them to justice. This is the issue that a lot of fans have been waiting for. A lot's been building onto this ever since the end of Avengers versus X Men, which was a miniseries that came out not last year, but back in 2012. And I can't wait to read it. I'm still have a few issues of Uncanny X Men to read before I get to this one. As after all, I'm just buying comics again for the first time in 2.5 months. So I'm trying to get back in the swing of things. I'm trying to do better. So please bear with me. Up next is Wolverine the X-Men number 2. This is the second issue of the new volume that just started. The first issue came out a few weeks ago, and it talks about the reopening of the Jean Grey Institute in Westchester, New York. Of course, Wolverine is the headmaster of the school, and so far there are only two students. These two right here, Quentin Quire and this other one. I always keep forgetting her name, but like Storm, she controls the elements of weather too. And this one, it looks almost like the cover of this issue of Uncanny X-Men, which I think was part one of Days of Futures Past. Oh, by the way, Days of Futures Past is also the name of an X-Men movie coming out later this year. I'm going to see it. Up next is Supergirl number 29. This is part 4 of the Red Daughter of Krypton story arc that first started in the previous issue of Supergirl. Um, Now, Supergirl has always been filled with rage ever since Krypton exploded, and because when Krypton exploded, she lost her parents, and then along the way while she was on Earth and tried to get used to the living on Earth, a lot of folks had broken her heart, and other folks and villains have tried to hurt her, and then Superman tries to get her to live a certain way, and she's becoming more and more irritated, and to a certain extent she really doesn't believe that Superman is who he says he is. And she's just angry, and now she now has a Red Lantern ring because of it. Now, for all of you who are watching this show for the first time, I've kept talking about what the Red Lantern means. Red in the emotional spectrum, as far as the DCU goes, symbolizes rage. And that's all Supergirl has is rage. And because of it, she's now a Red Lantern. Up next is Superior Spider-Man Annual number 2. This is the conclusion to the Goblin Nation story arc that's going on in the pages of the Superior Spider-Man. And Norman Osborn, aka the Green Goblin, um, established a Goblin Underground group in New York. And when he got enough members, one of them, namely Carly Cooper, who is an ex girlfriend of Peter Parker and Spider Man, well, she becomes the latest one, but it's against her will. And then Osborn douses her with uh, this goblin stuff, and then she becomes goblinish and very creepy, to be honest. Well, they had been wreaking havoc all throughout New York after they got enough members. And Peter Parker, or should I say, Dr. Otto Octavius, of course, Dr. Otto Octavius is it's Peter Parker's body, Otto Octavius's mind. He's still puzzled about how the Goblin was able to do that. After he had all this technology to put bad guys to justice, but he wasn't able to figure that out. And now it comes down to this. And if you can see, this is a goblin eating up one of Otto Octavius's spider bots. That that is some kind of camera robots with cameras that he used throughout the series. Not to mention, he also has has an island on New York called Spider Island. He has his own island. It's going to be very interesting when Peter Parker finally comes back, and he will get his body back. I don't know how, but it's going to happen because there have been because in Marvel they're saying that there's going to be starting in next month there's going to be a the Amazing Spider-Man is going to be back in print. So that only suggests that Peter Parker is going to get his body back from Octavius. But what will happen with Octavius? I'll let you know when I start reading. Next is Batman number 26. This is a continuation to the. Well, I don't think this is a continuation to the zero year story arc, but sometimes there's an old saying that goes, "A picture is worth 1,000 words," but the cover to a comic book is worth 1,000 words as well. I don't know what this is, but I'll let you know as soon as I read it. But if it's Batman, you know it's going to be awesome. Up next is Aquaman number 26. Now I kind of when I bought this, I was thinking, wait, what? Aquaman flies? Impossible. Aquaman doesn't fly. But it says look up in the sky, and then there's Aquaman. But I love the job that Jeff Johns did on his 25 issue run on Aquaman. He took one probably the one superhero that has been the butt of every superhero joke ever told and made him relevant. And and now Jeff Parker, who has written books like Bone and the Red Hulk book, he's now he's now writing this, and if he's writing it, it's going to probably be both good and funny. Up next is Detective Comics number 26. This is I don't know what just like Batman. I don't know what this is either because I'm just now getting back into reading some of the Batman books. I've completely fallen off, but I'm trying to do better. And I apologize for making using that excuse every time. But This is gonna be great. Whatever this cover suggests, because sometimes one thing about comic book covers, they may say one the cover may say one thing, but when you read the inside of it, it may say something else. Well, 7 out of 10 times it does. Up next is Green Lantern New Guardians number 29. Now, this one follows the story of Kyle Rayner, who is now a White Lantern and is being watched closely by the new Guardians of the Universe. And after almost dying by entering the Source Wall, he comes back and starts a new adventure. And he's found some new things, and he's encountered some new villains, and he recently, or should I say, Carol Ferris recently found out that he was alive. So time will only tell when the rest of the Green Lantern Corps finds out. And last are Larfleeze numbers 5 and 6. Now let me explain to you who Larfleeze is. Larfleeze, he is the one. He is the only member of a corps called the Orange Lantern Corps, and he there's only one lantern and it belongs to him. I mean, one ring and it belongs to him. There's only one lantern that belongs to him, and you know how most Green Lanterns have a an oath. You know, the Green Lanterns have in brightest day and blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power, Green Lantern's light. Larfleeze has one of his own. It's only one word. Mine. But recently he doesn't he may have be the only orange lantern because he only has one ring, but his constructs are people he kills or people he's killed. And then in earlier issues he finds out that those constructs had somehow gotten their bodies back and they had gotten rings of their own, and they're going and they've come to do one thing: kill Larfleeze for killing them. I mean, it's a great book. It's written by Keith Giffen and J.M. DeMatteis. It's, I mean, those two are like comic book writing legends, and they've teamed up with former Flash artist Scott Collins. And the first 4 issues that I read were amazing. I can't wait to read these two. All right, that's 19, ladies and gentlemen, which brings my total of comics I bought to 6,125. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm seriously trying to do better, but there's really no excuse. You know, you have to make time to do things, whether it whether it be your hobbies, whether it be schoolwork, whether it be your job, whether it be whether you have to make time for your significant other. You always have to make time to do things, and that's what I'm striving to do. Um, as always, if you have any suggestions, email me, contact me on Facebook, contact me on Meet Me, contact me on my email address if any of y'all have that. If not, then I'll post it on during the end credits. And also for all the Facebook friends that I have, I created the Comic Hero fan page for you. I created so you can give me your input on ideas that you have for the show. I created so you can have the opportunity to enlighten me on things that I'm doing on the show that I shouldn't be, or things that I'm not doing on the show that I should be. Um, so hopefully next week will be better, and Hopefully, I'll be able to talk comics without a filter or without lack of knowledge with certain books. All right, that's all the time I have. I'm Victor Nunley. I am the comic hero. See you next time. Till then, be safe, be blessed, be a hero.